Louis Art for The Ring magazine, delighted today because joined with Bozy Ennis here in Atlantic City, ahead of your son Jaron fighting Eimantas Stanionis in a big unification on Saturday night.
Yes, sir.
Bozy, good to see you. How's things, mate? How are you?
Everything's good, my man. How are you?
I'm all good, mate. All the better for speaking to you. Obviously, a massive fight for Boots on Saturday, arguably the biggest fight of his career so far. I guess how's things been, and a typical question, but preparation for this one must have, how have things been?
Everything's been great, man. You know what I mean? I don't never had no problem with him because he's always training. So, you know, ain't nothing too much I can say about that. He's always in some kind of shape.
Yeah, for sure. And I spoke to Boots there and spoke about, especially when it comes to having a sort of the biggest fight of your career so far, especially unification with a lot on the line.
Right.
When you are training, is it important to sort of take it as any other fight, or is it important to sort of have that pedestal line that this one is, you know, is important? Like how is it important to have that sort of that difference in preparation, or putting the fight on a pedestal?
No, this is a great fight, man. With the Stanionis, man. You know what I mean? I'm gonna see somebody take Boots to another level. They ain't see the higher level yet.
Yeah.
Boots. They just saw a little bit of Boots. Yeah. Like I said, the last fight, Boots didn't even really want to fight that guy. You know what I mean? He wasn't even in it. If you watch the fight, Boots wasn't even in that fight. He was, you know what I mean, looking all over there and all, you know what I mean, but still winning. You know what I mean? Taking unnecessary shots, what he normally don't. You know.
But that's what I was going to touch on. I guess from the Chukazin fight, a lot of people had a lot of takeaways from that, and it's sort of, you know, and naturally how it is, you know, how boxing is and boxing fans being fickle. There was probably a lot of critics that a lot of people had for Boots. So more important than ever on Saturday to sort of, I guess, shut them up and put on that statement.
We don't worry about people, man. What people say, man, that stuff don't bother us, man, at all. You know what I mean? I know what he can do, and he know what he can do. That shit don't bother us at all, man. You know what I mean? You always have criticism. You know what I mean? And a lot of the guys that do the criticism probably never fought a day in their life, had a pair of gloves on. You know what I mean?
But is that statement, to put out a statement, that there must be an extra importance coming off the back of a fight like that?
Well, I think that fight was a blessing for him. Now some of them coming out and just like Stanionis now, he coming out and willing to fight Boots now. So that was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. You
know what I mean?
Well, for so long as well, and this is sort of a similar question that I asked Jaron, it was always sort of labelled, you know, the future of the 147-pound division and the future of American boxing in general. Do you feel like now we're starting to see that position where Boots is sort of filling into them shoes?
Yeah, yes indeed, yeah. He's doing what he's supposed to do. You know what I mean? And this fight right here is another step to greatness.
Yeah, Ring magazine title on the line as well, obviously.
Yes,
how extra special does that knowing?
That's a very special belt right there, man. A long time, man. All the top heavyweights and middleweights got that type of belt. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I know not looking past Saturday, and the firm is firmly sights are on Stanionis, but Boots has been pretty clear that, you know, undisputed is the aim, and I think, you know, obviously Brian Norman Jr. is coming off the back of an impressive performance. I know it's a fight that you tried to make, and ideally potentially after this that could be something you entertain.
But I ain't even worrying about talking about him right now. You know what I mean? I don't even want to put the light on him right now because they do enough talking themselves. You know what I mean? So, but they know the truth. You know what I mean? Just like when they was offered so much amount of money and turned it down, 750, 1.5, 1.7, and when you fought what's that boy Centennial, you know, he got 100-something thousand, and you tell me there wasn't enough money that what you call him, Eddie offered you wasn't enough money. Oh shit, you only made 100-something thousand. Somebody offer you 750,000. I got to pay Bob. You got to pay this. Yeah, well, you'll have enough money left. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing when you had the 100-something thousand. You know what I mean? Then when you offer 1.5, man, you can walk away with a nice piece of money. You know what I mean? So don't use that for an excuse. Then the last one they offered was 1.7. You know what I mean? So come on, man. You know, if you really wanted to fight, you should have took the fight. Now you're getting exposed. Now, what I mean by exposure, y'all living off of Boots, calling Boots' name out and all that, and then when it come down to it, y'all ain't signing to fight nobody. You know what I mean? So I don't even like addressing them at all, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about Vergil Ortiz Jr.? I just asked Jaron sort of there. Is that in the future down the line?
That's a future fight.
Yeah.
That's a future fight, man. You know what I mean? We wanted him from the beginning. You knew that. We wanted Vergil. We wanted Terence. We wanted Spence, Keith Thurman. That's 2 years back. We've been asking for all them guys, man. You know, and it was like everybody was shutting us down anyway. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't think it was the fighters. It was the people that was not underneath the fighter, but like the promoters or maybe their manager or something like that. Because the fighter going to fight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Quickly moving on, I did want to ask you about Stephen Fulton as well, coming off of winning the boot, becoming a 2-time world champion again. Right. Yeah, I guess what is sort of the next step with Stephen? I know that he'll speak about a potential Shaki Foster fight.
Right.
Ideally, sort of for yourself, what would the next step be for Fulton?
I think that's what it's going to be.
Okay.
I think that's what they're working on. What's that, Shaki Foster? You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think about a fight between Stephen and Shaki Foster?
That's going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to be victorious with that fight.
Yeah. So as I say, a future for Stephen up at 130 then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, making history, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Andy Cruz as well seems to be sort of making his way through the lightweight division.
Yeah. Calling out everybody.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's calling out everyone.
Right.
For Andy, what's the update with him and the potential next steps with Andy?
That's what we're waiting on now. Waiting on, see what they're going to do, what Eddie and them going to do. You know what I mean? Because he's ready to fight everybody. You see, he's sounding everybody.
Yeah.
He don't care who it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He ready to go to the top, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because obviously I know Abdullayev and Moratella are fighting for the interim IBF title, which Andy looks like he'd be in line to fight the winner of that. Right. And ideally that step, let's say Lomachenko's sort of out of the picture now, that's sort of the winner of that fight is what you're aiming for to become IBF world champion?
Whoever. You know what I mean? Whoever they want. You see online what he's saying. He calling everybody out. So I mean, there's no particular one. You know what I mean? He won to fight for a title.
And I think, as I say, Keyshawn Davis becoming a world champion now as well. A lot of people would like to see that fight with all the amateur history.
That's a good fighter too.
How would you? Yeah, as I say, great fighters. But what do you think of the fight between Andy and?
We accommodate that too. Yeah. We'll fight him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, he's another good fighter, man. You know, like I said, I don't down no fighters, man.
No, I'm not trying to. Yeah, of course.
No,
yeah.
You know, people talking about this fight ain't this, calling people names and all that. Come on, man. You know, you trying to build yourself up and build your fight up by talking about nasty about other fighters, man. Come on, man. Have some respect, man.
Of course. Yeah. Before I do let you go, a big fight in September. I did want to ask you about Canelo Alvarez taking on Terence Crawford.
That's a good fight.
I guess what would be your breakdown and thoughts on that fight?
Well, just what I would say. If I, was working with Terence or something like that, I would have him boxing. You know what I mean? Boxing, moving, and when he gets that time up, frustrating. You know what I mean? And that's the only way I can see him, Terence beating him. You know what I mean? Now, Canelo's a puncher, man. You know what I mean? So you can't be laying around on the ropes on him because he punch you in your arm and hurt you. You know what I mean? So you got to be on. You got to be on. I mean, boxing, moving, little shake here, little fake there. You know what I mean? Hands up. Got to be right, man. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be a great fight, man. People counting Terence out. I'm not counting him out.
Absolutely, it'll be an interesting one. Bozy, a pleasure to speak to you. Appreciate you taking the time to speak to me.
Appreciate
you. All the best on Saturday, mate. Top man. Thank you, mate.